What's the difference between science, philosophy, and religion? Depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different answer. My answer is this: there is no difference. Everything is philosophy. That sounds preposterous, but what I mean by philosophy is simply the pursuit of truth. We're trying to discover propositions which best explain the phenomena that we experience. What is the reason that things appear the way they are? In my mind, that's the ultimate kind of pursuit of truth question, and it's the ultimate philosophic question, and everything is kind of derivative of that. There's different ways you can go about answering that question. You can go the traditional scientific route. You can take an empiricist approach and do tests on reality and gather data and try to draw theories from the data that you gather. You could have a philosophic approach, which is maybe more geared towards logical reasoning and conceptual reasoning, also based on your experiences. Or you might have a religious methodology, which is that you think these truths can be communicated to you through divine intervention or through specific books or texts or through that kind of emerge in society through traditions and whatnot. But in my mind, they're all valid claims to answering the question, what's going on around here? You hear people say all the time, oh, well, that's not a question for science, that's a question for philosophy, or vice versa. Oh, that's not a philosophic question, that's a question about religion. Oh, what's the meaning of life? And, how should you live your life? Well, that's not a scientific question, and so on. I don't find those categories particularly helpful when they're held onto so tightly. What I'd say is you can discover sound and unsound methodologies for trying to answer the questions about the world. So, for example, the methodology of logical reasoning, I am personally totally persuaded by that. For me, my valuation, the ultimate valuation of what I think is a compelling theory or not a compelling theory, comes down to rational analysis and logic. Independent, mind you. If there's some test which implies that something is, logically contradictory, I think that's demonstration that there's something going wrong in the test, because things, for reasons I've explained before, have to be logically consistent. Other people don't think that. They think, they'll go wherever the data follows, and some people say, no, well, we'll go whatever's in the Quran and whatever's in the Bible. That's the ultimate methodology. Here's the funny thing. I could even imagine the case of a religious person saying, no, we're not really doing philosophy. Philosophy is kind of the cerebral thing where you think you can determine right from wrong. And religion is really submitting yourself to the communication of God or the expertise of the priests in their thinking about these things and trying to sort out these things. But it's funny because I would say philosophy is inescapable. You can think you're not doing philosophy, but that doesn't mean you're actually not doing philosophy. The religious people are making a methodological claim. They're saying, and this is not, by the way, just only true of monotheistic religions like Judaism, Christianity, Islam. This is also true in Eastern religions. So a huge, profound conclusion of Eastern religion is that ultimate truth is not something to be rationally communicated or rationally understood. It's something to be experienced. It's just pure being, devoid of mental content and mental chatter. If that's true, which is I would say is a philosophic claim about reality, if that's true, and it might be, that's profound. But don't think that it's not philosophic. Claims about epistemology and methodology are inescapable for any proposition that anybody makes. If you say, I'm not doing philosophy because the Bible is the Word of God, what you're saying is you're revealing your methodology and saying, I will believe ideas as they are presented in this particular book, which is, of course, I would say is a debatable proposition, right? It's a philosophic claim. We have to apply logical, reasonable analysis to it. Of course, the same is true, I would say, in scientific claims. There's a whole slew of empiricists out there that think somehow data speaks for itself, that you can construct theories from the data. The data comes first, theories come second. I'd say this is something I'll talk significantly about in the future. It's totally backwards. In fact, it's impossible. It's on the edge of being nonsensical to think that just pure sensory input, devoid of conceptual analysis, can give you some kind of theory independent, rational, independent truth about the world. I think is preposterous. That's a video for another time. At the end of the day, perhaps it's my own bias, I just can't escape philosophy. There's no deeper truth that somehow you can claim, which isn't a methodological claim or isn't an epistemological claim. It isn't a philosophic claim, or at least it isn't a claim which doesn't make philosophic presuppositions, all of which can be rationally analyzed. That's kind of my default perspective in putting together this worldview that I'm trying to create.